the point that Senator just made there, she said, we're the national voices. Basically, they're out here trying to fight, and the folk need to step up. We've been sounding this alarm for months, more than a year now, saying, hey, they're coming after Tennessee State. They're coming, they're coming, they're coming. And to me, and thank goodness, the folks at Black Voters Matter and their folks on the ground in Memphis and Nashville have been engaged. But the other folks, MIA.
Yeah, NAACP, listen to me very carefully at this point. Brother Derek Johnson, calling you by name, brother. You, sir, and the organization you head, you all, at this point, as relates to Tennessee State, are worthless. Worth, W-O-R-T-H, less, L-E-S-S. Stand up. Have you forgotten Kelly Miller Smith, Nashville? Have you gotten Jim Lawson, Nashville? Have you gotten Walter Davis, the president of Tennessee State, Nashville? Have you forgotten the great Fred Humphreys, who punched these crackers in the mouth when they tried this in the 1970s and 80s, until the Florida A&M alumni convened on the governor's office and said, we want our alum, Fred Humphreys, to run Florida A&M. NAACP, you're worthless. Mark, Brother Morial, it's beautiful to talk about the state of Black America. Where is the Urban League? You know what? You legacy Negroes, just hold on for a minute. I'm tell you why I'm mad, because I was student vice president of Tennessee State from 1986 to 1987. We ran up on Ned Ray McWhirter. We ran up on the governor's office. I'm talking now to the Tennessee State students right now and all the alumni. Y'all need to run up on these crackers in the legislature. This hillbilly, Bo Watson, this Senator Bo Watson, the hillbilly from Hickston, East Tennessee, with his fancy, shiny degree from the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, these hillbillies who can't spell, but going to run roughshod over Tennessee State University. We need to break their backs, y'all. We've been talking about this a long time, but at the end of the day, Senator Oliver laid it out. There's no time now to be polite. That white boy, what's that punk's name? Jason Mumpower. This the same one tried to run that game on Mason, Tennessee, and West Tennessee. He the comptroller. If they get a nickel, they want to be in control of it. You have to break their backs. If the NAACP don't step up now, y'all can cancel. I'm going to talk about y'all in a way that's going to make y'all wish that you had done this a long time before.
You know, Lauren, when I talked about how these Republicans roll, they do things in one state and then they replicate. It is not scaring folks to say, other HBCUs, be leery, you may be next.
Obviously on CRT, they've done it with electoral matters. They have a game plan. I mean, basically the game plan is born from their $1 billion and $1 million donors directing them. They're on the same page and they're very organized. It's very easy to see it. And we shouldn't be waiting around for investigative journalists. I mean, Jane Mayer has exposed a lot of what's going on the voting issues. But something like this, once you see it in one state, you are bound to see it again and again. And obviously, most of the HBCUs, if not all of them, are in the South. So it wouldn't surprise me. They're definitely on a kick to set back the clock when it comes to race. And Donald Trump is the quarterback of that. And some of the things that we thought were unthinkable to see have wound back are getting wound back. And on top of that, it coincides with the fact that our civil rights groups are, I think, basically controlled by corporate influence to a point where they're not as focused on some of these issues that you'd think they'd be focused on right away as they should be. I mean, the fact that the Darryl George thing took forever for anyone to say anything, finally the Black Caucus kicked in, but it's kind of like these things are taking too long. The State of Black America thing, nothing against Mark Morial. I think Mark Morial is great, but that has been sort of rendered as an irrelevant moment at a time when it should be really relevant. So the timing of the Black legacy organizations being very quiet in these moments is extremely bad. I mean, we're dealing with Donald Trump here on the horizon, and there's just not a whole lot of energy or activity. And that interview you did last week with the BLM person where it was word salad city and you couldn't figure out, we're writing essays or whatever that was, that ain't going to cut it either. So there's clearly something that is wrong. I think it requires some sort of meeting of the minds and some planning, some institutional planning with these organizations, because you can see that on the right, They are now going for things that, again, we didn't think that they would go for. And they're trying to dismantle things and wind back the clock 50 and 60 and 70 years.
Reese.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that we are not realizing that these things are not happening in a silo. These are opening salvo after opening salvo of what the Republican Party, as Lauren has said, is organized in dismantling our civil rights and our institutions, because they understand that when they dismantle our institutions, they're also dismantling pipelines. They're dismantling our ability to play offense. And when they're going after DEI in white spaces and then you go after the black spaces, then what the hell is left for the blacks? Okay. So I think that people really need to wake the fuck up and realize that this is a red fire alarm. We saw more energy about, what was his name? Ed Reed, who got fired from Bethune-Cookman as the coach, and it was all up in arms. It was all over trending, all over. Everybody was debating about how, all kind of shit. But then we don't really hear a peep about this. And to your credit, Roland, you have been talking about this for a long time. This show on Thursdays, we've talked about it many times, but people, it's still not clicking. And I don't understand what it's going to take for it to click. I think it's fine to do all the celebrations and celebrate Black history and women's history and Black excellence and all this other kind of shit. But our institutions are falling apart right before our eyes. Actually, not falling apart. That's not even the right word. It is being dismantled right in front of us. And we're not even playing defense, let alone some damn offense. So this is very troubling. And I don't know who they're going to put in there, but if it's anything like that HBCU white man president who just got reinstated after allegedly bullying a Black administrator to the point where she committed suicide, then damn, we in some deep shit.
I'm going to speak to that in a second. For instance, and we talked about this then, when the story came out that showed that Tennessee State, when the committee determined they had been underfunded some $500 million. Now, for people to understand, this is the story right here. This was where the Governor Lee responded to that. Okay. And of course, look, they've been neglected for so long. He gives this report. He said they plan to fulfill their commitment to Tennessee State. Now, here's what's interesting. You see the quote here. The plan is to fulfill the commitment that we made to TSU, which is the largest and most historic funding commitment ever, $250 million plus additional funding. And we have worked together with TSU leadership to make certain those funds are spent correctly. That's the plan. Now, check this out, y'all. I want y'all to understand that statement. You see that? We have worked together with TSU leadership to make certain that those funds are spent correctly. That's the plan. Now, it was $500 million. He says we're going to do $250. Guess when the white Republicans started questioning Tennessee State? After they asked for the $500 million. After they said we'll give the $250 million. Now, mind you, up until this point, they didn't give a damn about TSU. They're like, okay, whatever. But all of a sudden, what are these enrollment problems? What are these housing problems? All these things. All of a sudden, because then it was, y'all asking for all y'all money. And I was saying then to Black leadership, why are we not there standing with them saying, where's the money? We want the full $500 million.
Yeah.
The Biden-Harris administration came out showing how many land grant institutions, HBCUs, have been underfunded. Black leadership, where the hell are y'all? Why you not saying? We're talking billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. Silent. Greg, go ahead.
Oh, no, this is a much deeper problem. These white nationalists have always been attacking our HBCUs behind the cotton curtain, particularly the public ones that are in state capitals. Jackson State in Jackson, Florida A&M in Tallahassee, Tennessee State in Nashville. Tennessee State is the public institution in Nashville. What they have always wanted to do is take that university over so that their hillbilly friends can get degrees cheaply who work in government and work in the state capitol. This is a cycle, in other words. You go back to the 1960s and 70s, the threats to merge Florida State with Florida A&M. Every cycle you hear this business out of the hillbillies in the Florida legislature. In Mississippi, we see what those punks have been trying to do and have done to Jackson State over the years. In other words, this is a cycle. I'm bringing it up for this reason. Tennessee State has always been able to beat this bag through the force of the community and political leaders. But this is why I say what you're raising is so very important, Roland. We're in a moment now in Black America where the American Negro has unilaterally disarmed. The Black petty bourgeoisie, the Black elite, have been so deeply and thoroughly integrated into the American idea that they don't want to threaten anyone. As Lauren has said, you got money coming in. So the idea is now to emphasize diversity, by diversity meaning heroic individuals in individual places, not institutions. And so as a result, they're not going to make any noise. In the 1970s, when Tennessee State went to war, beginning in 1968 with the Sanders versus Geyer case, and when it was settled, Tennessee State took over the downtown campus of the University of Tennessee, Nashville, because what these crackers were going to do is put a campus of the University of Tennessee in downtown Nashville. That's what they did, in fact, rather than go to school with them N-words. But we had warrior lawyers like Avon Williams, the man for whom that campus is now named, who went to war with these white boys. Where are the heroic lawyers today? I'm saying, Ben Crump, you want to be the man? Show up, big boy, and go get your boy, Derek Johnson, and y'all need to be on the steps of the Tennessee State Capitol. And you better be surrounded by all them 18 to 22-year-olds who go to Tennessee State, because I'm going to tell you about the students at HBCUs now. The spirit of standing up to these crackers is still there, but it isn't the minority now. Why? Because they're giving out internships. And everybody looks nice in their suit, in their dress. And Black excellence means representation. It does not mean forceful resistance. We are at a moment now where these white boys are rallying for their last cry. And I invite them to, as they're not having babies and as they die, the death bleat. This is the death bleat of the Jason Montpowers of the world. This is the death beat of punks like the governor, Bill Lee. This is the death bleat of people like the hillbilly from Hickson. The death bleat is not to be feared. We got to roll over them. One more final thing to my friend. And, you know, Brother Johnson is my friend. That's why I'm mentioning him. The great Dory Ladner made transition last week. Dory Ladner, sister of Joyce Ladner. Dory Ladner, one of the SNCC workers. Dory Ladner, one of the forces in civil rights. Dory Ladner, she and her sister Joyce were put out of Jackson State for their civil rights activity and ended up going to Tougaloo, where, among many other things, they joined the force that brought you into the movement. Derek, do you remember? They brought you in, brother. Don't disrespect the legacy of your elders and your ancestors. It's time to stand up now, because Medgar Evers would be on the front line. Where are you?
Just so y'all understand how we expand this, go to my iPad. The Biden-Harris administration announced this in September. State-run land grant HBCUs are owed more than $13 billion. This came, and it was right here. Land grant, historically Black colleges and universities have missed out on more than $13 billion they should have gotten in the last 3 decades or so, according to letters that were sent by Education Secretary Miguel Cardona and Agriculture Secretary Thomas Vilsack. The letters went to the governors of Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, Missouri, Oklahoma, South Carolina, North Carolina, Texas, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia. They, citing data from the National Center for Education Statistics, said the money, quote, could have supported infrastructure and student services and would have better positioned the university to compete for research grants. And those HBCUs, quote, will be much stronger and better positioned to serve its students, your state, and the nation if made whole with respect to this funding gap. And I've heard little from national civil rights groups. I've heard little from a variety of Black elected officials. And so here's what I want to know. If all of these Black organizations are supposedly representing Black people, Which black people? Because surely, folks would be blowing my phone up saying, can we get on to discuss? Can we get on to discuss our rallies? Can we come talk about our protests? Can we come on and talk about our campaigns? So what the hell are all these groups doing? And I'm going to expand this beyond black civil rights groups. I'm going to also challenge Divine Nine. Where are you on the 13 billion? I'm going to say Prince Hall Mason. Where are you on the 13 billion? Eastern Star, Links, Black Church, Black Clergy. Where are you on the 13 billion?
Come on.
I'm going to say specific, Reverend Dr. Jerry Young, President of the National Baptist Convention USA.
Come on.
Where are you? Why are y'all silent? And you right there in Jackson, Mississippi, with Jackson State.
Yes, sir. Yes,
If black organizational leaders are unwilling to stand up and fight on behalf of black people, resign and get the hell out of the way. And allow a new generation of leaders,
yes, sir,
who have the intestinal fortitude, who have the willingness, who have the fight, who have the gumption, and who have the integrity to actually fight on behalf of black folks. Y'all are on notice.
I have something I want to tell you. I am running for president.
Of the United States? Holy.
I'm paving the road for a lot of other people looking like me to get elected.
Brooklyn's first black representative.
You're about to make history.
You want to be president? You ain't no man.
Maybe we should find your mother. All you got is your one vote.
You sound just like every other politician.
Do I look like every other politician?
Truly, you can't win.
And why can't I win? I have an opportunity to make a difference.
This isn't a campaign. It's a joke. The only thing anybody's gonna remember is that there were a bunch of black folks who made fools of themselves. I'll kill you!
See too much suffering. And I don't know how to not try.
We're living it proud.
I don't think I'm special. I just want to remind people what's possible.
We need something that's going to make some noise.
The Black Panthers and Shirley Chisholm. It's like thunder and lightning. I'm going to force all the politicians to be held accountable.
You're gonna do all that. School teacher from Brooklyn.
Harriet was just a slave. Rosa was just a domestic. What is it you do for a living again?